I like to take the position, because of machines and where we are with artificial intelligence, to switch flip the switch to not attack.
Okay.
And not fear. Let's look at how it's making us better and where that brings us, because it's definitely improving our lives. Because we're all complaining of fatigue, and we're all kind of complaining, our rote chores, our rote things we need to do every day in order to maintain our lives. It's definitely impacting us to get us out of that, which makes us smarter and enabling to give us room to creatively look at new avenues in our life. But within that full circle, we need to know how to sustain ourselves holistically.
Welcome to EnVibe Live Conversations with Amy Parker and Cheryl Dunn. By tuning in, you are joining a community that will inspire you to increase balance, wellness, and joy in your life. We'll offer expert information and insightful conversations to help us on our journey to live more EnVibe. For more information and articles, remember to also check out our website at envibelife.com. That's EnVibelife.com. We're grateful that you're here. Welcome to EnVibe Live Conversations with Amy Parker and Cheryl Dunn. And today we have a special guest, Holly Hutcher-Shamir. And Holly is a dear friend of mine that I guess you moved to Austin 5 years ago. So I was probably one of the first people you met here.
Yeah,
right?
You were. I met you before I moved here.
That's right. You came to check out the studio before you even moved here.
Yeah.
So but it's really feels a lot longer, because not only do we have the relationship with the studio, but Holly is a respected practitioner that I personally go see for body work, brain work, spiritual work. I can't even wrap it up. It's like the whole shebang. It's almost everything that we talk about here in Vibe. Holly is my go-to for that work. And I started seeing you before I even realized how to put all those things together or that they mattered. I felt like you were speaking a foreign language to me most of the time in the beginning. And I just slowly started to understand a little bit more. Holly gave me her book. She is the author, she's the co-author of The Quantum Olympics. Don't look at mine. I got lots of notes in here.
And we'll link that for sure in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll link this in the show notes.
The subtitle was really important.
I don't have my glasses on.
Human beings transforming to live as holy beings in the 21st century.
I think, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And that is part of the reason, it is the reason why we brought you here. Because we want you to talk about this. I feel like we could have many podcasts with you on all those things that I talked about that I see you for. But today what we want to talk about is technology.
Well, changing times and your reflections on that. What you see going on in the world.
And I feel like we hear a lot about things that are changing and happening that aren't good for us. Right? And I feel like you have a great insight on this, and maybe you could give some more clarity to that statement. And I'm referring to, the 5G, the EMF, those might be one and the same thing, that kind of stuff that the people that we're listening to are talking about, the electric cars and how all of this is kind of attacking us and maybe making us sick. But this stuff isn't going away. 5G is not going away. No. Wi-Fi is not going away, right? So help us out here. What is your perspective on it, and what do you think how should we go about this?
Well, thanks for having me, both of you. And I think it's definitely a topic that's in the forefront right now because of where we are with technology and the technocrats and quarantine and COVID, and we're this is a more of a a virus or a situation that we could find ourselves in more often than just every 70 years or whatever. So how do we equip ourselves? I think that's what we're asking. So what I'm seeing in my personal practice is a different level of stress, because people think on one level that they've liberated themselves by being, conferencing through Zoom or whatever platform they're using, and they're not going to work. They don't have to get dressed. They're at home more. They're with their families. They may be sitting at a desk or outside, wherever, with not only a desktop, a iPad,
a phone, AirPods. I see it all in my children. They have all this stuff.
Exactly. And so, so a laptop, all that around them. So there's people are like, oh, they're so tired and they don't know why. Part of what we've been concerned with as far as 5G and the impact of electromagnetic fields, I've been concerned way from the beginning, because, even in the beginning when we went from iPods to an iPhone, you'd see like mothers walking around talking on the phone, up to there with a newborn baby, and you'd see that fontanel, that even closed with that electromagnetic stress. And that was the beginning of kind of the concern. And then kids all the time in front of a desktop, and then video games. And then, we had our invisible umbilical cords that we gave our kids phones, so we would always connect. And the connectivity became a global arena, that we all could, just kind of have an idea and shoot it across to Australia, or, Australia would shoot off to Japan, to ask Japan. And we're living in this world of, 24/7 connectivity. And then you add in the fact that you're not going to the office and you're not traveling, internationally, you're not traveling nationally, you're not traveling on, the ground roads, so surface streets. So what does that mean? That means that you are literally exposed based on the hours that you're sitting there. And that blue light exposure, we know also from our studies from, our neuroscientists and neurosurgeons, how that blue light impacts the ATP cycle, which is your Krebs cycle, which is what you run on.
Okay. Say that in English. that cycle you're referring to. Say that in kind of like layman's
terms.
terms.
I'll try. So through your eyes, through your visual system, you're exposed to all these screens. And what your visual system does that, because that's the 90% of the pathways to your brain, from that screen exposure, what it does to you cellularly is based on, hundreds of trillions of levels. And what makes you hundreds of trillions of levels is your trillions of cells times your magnetic voltage, which makes your electromagnetic field. How that intervenes with your electromagnetic field through your visual system transfers to your energy in your body. That's kind of your ATP Krebs cycle. And through your Krebs cycle, as you affect that energy cycle, it goes directly to your mitochondria, which are your powerhouse of your cell. It's your powerhouses. It's, and that blue light really affects your energy level. So people are saying they have no energy. They're exhausted, and it's a different type of exhaustion than pre-COVID, because that was adrenal. But still, blue light is adrenal. Okay. But we need red light for our adrenals and our kidneys. So the blue light is really fleshing out, because of the impact on the Krebs cycle of your energy and the powerhouse of your cells, your mitochondria. It's really imbalancing the red light, which you need for your adrenals and your kidneys and so forth, and your energy. Because everything, your ATP cycle feeds all of your energy. All of your energy. Everything that's being done below your consciousness. Well, it's definitely being impacted. I'd like to take the position, because of machines and where we are with artificial intelligence, to switch flip the switch to not attack.
Okay.
And not fear. Let's look at how it's making us better. and where that brings us, because it's definitely improving our lives. Because we're all complaining of fatigue, and we're all kind of complaining, our rote chores, our rote things we need to do every day in order to maintain our lives. It's definitely impacting us to get us out of that, which makes us smarter and enabling to give us room to creatively look at new avenues in our life. But within that full circle, we need to know how to sustain ourselves holistically.
Correct.
Right? We need to be ahead of that curve.
Because right now we're not.
Some people are. Some people are. I would say the majority, what I'm reading online and in the chats and all over, is that people are highly fatigued.
Yes.
And they don't know. There's a lot of depression. There's a lot of mental illness.
Yes.
There's a lot of people who are struggling. And, we just keep pouring in the media more and more fear and higher numbers, and we're not really educating people. So they look to people like us to give them some kind of like kickstand, not to go completely down the rabbit hole. That's what I look like.
Right.
Kickstand. Wait, I don't want to go completely down this rabbit hole.
Hope.
Yes.
Hope. Different ways, different strategies, different perspectives. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're coming with today.
Right. It's just asking a question differently. So, like if we look at AI and we look at machines, and, we don't want to look at it as an attack. What it's doing is taking masses of amount of data that we could never process and collating it for us and making new rules. So it's assimilating humans beyond, in every case, it's like taking all of us who would think, oh, if I'm going to turn right there, like the electric car, and there's a tree there, and there's a child playing there, and every case scenario is assimilated so that car can drive by itself. Well, that is making it, or I wouldn't say by itself, but programmed artificially, right? Mm-hmm. All the rules. That is not something to be in fear of. That's something to understand. Because from all that massive data to enable that moment, there are new rules being collated from that. Well, how do we benefit from those new rules? I love the example of how an AI data center identity beat a master chess player. The master chess players, because it only collated the data and made all these new rules beyond the existing rules. So people are, how does that impact humans? Does that make us smarter?
Or not?
Right.
That, I think, is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we use it the right way, it
right,
can make us smarter.
It's like, what is the right way?
On it,
right.
Does it make us lazier?
Well, what is lazy? Because what I've understood is if it will spell for us and we don't need to spell anymore, it will do math. We don't need to do math anymore. The whole idea is opening a whole new level of creativity. Mm-hmm. And personalization. The data is considered, in the macro sense, personalization. Everything is being personalized.
Right. From your Facebook feed to the news stories you see on your Alexa, everything is your shopping cart, your emails, they're all based on websites I've been to. Right? They're watching and making it all personal for me.
Well, we're moving away from that. We're moving away from websites and that type of thing. It's going to be conversational capitalism. We're moving towards that, where you just speak something, then it personalizes that speak, and the data comes up in your environment.
Well, and a lot of people find that scary, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it sounds like a novel I would have read when I was in high school and thought, oh, that will never really happen.
Yeah, I know.
And now it's happening. But here's what I'm really so intrigued by what you're saying, or I really kind of love about what you're saying, is that, I listen to and read all the people who are freaked out about 5G and EMFs and all the biohackers out there spending all of their energy trying to combat these things. And it just always makes me wonder, or if I get too fearful, I think, but if what I'm putting out there is just fear and anxiety, then I'm going to bring about more fear and anxiety. So how should I really be approaching that? Or if I approach it like you're saying, maybe with a sense of gratitude for what those technologies can do for me. Can I transmute some of that in a more real way?
Yeah, and what does creativity mean for you?
Mm-hmm.
What does creativity mean for
with
you?
your soul.
Yeah. What does that mean to you on a spiritual level? That's where that's where my focus is right now. If all this is happening, what does that mean as far as my spirituality, and how does that impact my spirituality? And I think we were talking about strategies. So the message that came to me to speak about is look at your family. If you want to look at your spirituality, look at your family. Because you think you're humming along and your spiritual practice in place and you're doing well, and then bam, something happens with your child, or something happens with your mother, or something happens, with your dog, and you are completely outside of yourself. And I love the idea of looking at your family to show you kind of where your spiritual practice is and to grow from that, because it's not written by anyone from the past, and especially any male from the past. It is written through your matriarchal, your mother god, your experience through your female nervous system every day. And I think that's a big piece of spirituality. The mother's interpretation.
That is fascinating.
Right?
Can you repeat that?
Probably not. I cannot.
I'm just like, whoa.
So that's kind of
it's
Or give us an example.
What are you
should we look
saying
at
with that? Like,
Will you give me an example? Tell me something
So-
that's on your mind. Make it real. Let's make it real. And I
So
can
is
take
that-
Okay, so one thing is, yes, increased screen time, or people who are communicating, whether it's our children or even ourselves. And instead of, like we are lucky enough to be doing right now, having this conversation in person, so filling each other's energy fields and filling each other here with us, we're doing it through machines. So I'll be talking through a machine to their machine who's conveying the information to them. I wonder, what does that do to us in our energy field?
Well, I have and I got a lot of guidance on that. You know how at the end of the week, you get that recap of how much screen time you've used?
oh,
Well, my guidance showed me that wouldn't it be fantastic, and I think we can do this, that if we got a recap every week on our place, like can imagine yellow, red, green, all beyond green, let's say purple to our spiritual selves. It is time to have human interaction. You have spent so much time doing all these other things, and now it's time to have human time, because there is a barometer. We're going to go past the point where we need that human contact. Every corporation could say, they've effectuated the bottom line, and their operating expenses are way down, and on, and their gross margin is here. But at some point, you need to know when that turning point is, where you need human contact, whether it's business or anything outside of your family network. Because at some point we still are human, and we want to expand our humanity within all of this. So I think that answers that. And then I'd love to have the gauge where it's like, beep, 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 beep. This is how you've connected with human and heart. Because heart math is so great at measuring that, and they have so many tools. Well, what if it could always be in that reading we get once a week that you didn't connect with the human?
I love that.
Through your heart. Yeah. And then, beep, 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 the violet, to make sure that your humanness is connecting with your spiritual practice. So we get that reading every week.
I love this.
I love that. I mean,
it's like a mood ring, but on a bigger scale.
Yeah, it's an AI. No, wait. It's an AI mood ring.
it is.
It is an AI mood ring. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, coming soon.
Yeah, now we have to create this, right? But I think we can. I really think that we're so great at measuring the waves. Like, that's what heart math does, is the heart waves, and how it changes your autonomic nervous system. Two people, what we're doing together, the three of us, and we're expanding our fields, our whole heart wave has already shifted. So like that is a nice little app or recap that I'm kind of came to me
I love
in
that.
guidance.
Yeah, you know what it's going to do for me until you come up with this? When I get that little reading, I'm going to start looking at it clearer and going, oh, I'm at 50%, then I need to, maybe spend a little more family time or friend time, I mean, I give a little bit of that every day.
Yes.
But be more intentional with it.
Exactly.
Because it's important. Like, I feel like we're so blessed that we can sit here and do this during this time, and we're lucky that we get to do that because I've been able, the three of us are very careful.
Yes.
And we have seen each other through this quarantine time. And so it's not like we're hitting a new network by bringing you in.
Right.
So we're really blessed that we get to do this and have this person-to-person connection. It's interesting, when this very first started happening, we had our gyrotonic master trainer meeting, and one of the girls put a question out. There's so much value in us laying our hands on our clients and moving them and having that, our energy transfer and the emotional connection that we have with our clients. How are we ever going to do that teaching exercise via Zoom? And Julio had a really great answer. He goes, think about watching a movie and it makes you cry. He goes, it's just a 2D movie screen, but you still felt the pain, the joy, the love. You felt it. He's like, so you have the capability to transfer that love and energy through your screen to whoever you're working with.
I know. And what if that wasn't even a screen? What if it was just a piece of yourself or an experience that fell out for you to understand that part of your spiritual hologram? Isn't that a piece of spirituality? Aren't we all connected and part of everything?
It is.
So why do we have to compartmentalize?
Yeah, because our brains are not there to wrap ourselves around the hologram yet. Although I have heard they're having concerts right now, that they're going to have like a hologram concert. I don't know.
Well, that's virtual. That's a virtual experience, and that is kind of what spirituality is when you meditate, when you clear the canvas and you're in the neutral space. That's what the unified field comes in. So this is a kind of a big spiritual movement because it forced people to stop going outside of themselves and being, distracted from all the outside influence, and made them go home and sit at home and deal with themselves. And what does that mean?
And it taught us all that we can be in our own space dealing with ourselves and still be connected to everyone else that fast, which is what we try to get to when we meditate or transcend. Yes. But we're doing it not in a transcendent state when we do it through Zoom or
maybe
webinar.
It is a state to get us to that state. Like maybe it's just outside model or design of that, which is actually happening within and in the unified field.
This has actually been one of my COVID takeaways too, that it has shown us so clearly how interconnected we all are. That to me, that's one of the lessons. To me, one of the lessons is that what's happening in India can be here making me sick in a week. That fast. At any given time, it made it very real, I thought, and tangible to understand.
Yeah, how connected we are. And I feel like you feel people's pain, with this. There's been a lot of pain and loss through this, whether it was loss of life, loss of freedoms, right? There's been a lot of that.
Loss of lifestyle. We've all had to give up the lives we were living and grieve that in some cases to accept.
Completely. Yeah. So if you're the person, like I mentioned, and you feel like, oh my goodness, this blue light, all this stuff is attacking me. Let's give it a new word. And what tools do you have to help us get through this?
Well, I go back to my book, The Holy Being. I think we need to see the holy in each person.
And let's tell everyone it's W and then in parentheses HOLY.
Thank you.
Holy.
Because I love that.
Okay, so how that came to me, again, it was guided. It was at the stage where we were much further. We were in a place where people were just humans being, and we were just really learning about the reactionary brain and what that meant in day-to-day life outside of a kind of a medical terminology. It's like humans being. Everyone that I was working on my practice, they were in survival mode, and so was I.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next kind of bridge to self-healing and transformation was to pull that apart and understand and find what came to me as holy. But it has to be holistic, because it takes further what we just said. What is happening in one part of your life is happening in all parts of your life, whether it's emotional, it's affecting your physical. What's affecting your physical is affecting your mental. What's affecting your mental is affecting your spiritual and your electrical system. So, and then all of that outside of yourself. So that's where I came up, though it spoke to me, holy. W for holistic, but holy as in whole. And so I just think we need to find the holy in each one of us, or whether it's a person checking out, your groceries, and you need to, hi, how are you today? You're walking by someone, you're just making that human connection to say, I see you, and you see me, and you're important. And, to take that time with our children, or to spend that time with our animals, or whatever that means to you, just being able to just surrender and be present in the moment. I feel like that is where our growth is. And as our intelligence and our environment raises and shifts, we'll ask better questions, and maybe we can utilize that, which will free up the time that we also crave to be creative and connect, instead of rushing through and by just to get it done. And we're missing our moments that we will never get back. And the people we love, it's borrowed time. Time is flying. We will never get that time back with the people we love, or we don't know that we love yet, because we never gave ourselves an opportunity to connect.
Yeah. In your book, you talk about the key of life, and you give that little story about the gods. And I know it's been a really long time since you wrote this book, but if I grab my glasses, I can read it, because this just really connected with me. And it says, there's an old story often told with a similar theme in many cultures of the world. As the story goes, all of the gods got together to discuss where to hide the key of life. After much discussion, they decided to hide it within the human, because they felt sure that the human would never think to look inside. Because inside you is your inner intelligence, and that holds the key to life. So I just thought that was beautiful, because then you go on to say about your inner intelligence is your heart, and the heart of your cells, and that is what we need to connect with. And that sums up to me kind of what you're saying too, how we go back to that.
I think it's hard for people to go back to that right now because of the global stress.
Yes.
So my advice, just walk outside. Put your feet on the earth, commit to, standing under a tree and letting the tree's hormones connect with that's how trees language. Watch the monarch butterfly fly by as it's, migrating. Hear the bird chirping. Look at the sky. Do something to connect with nature. That will kind of create a third place during a time where there's so much unknown.
Yeah, I think that's probably what brings up a lot of fear in us, is the unknown. And right now there's so much unknown, not only from day to day, but minute to minute.
Absolutely.
But even on a just more simple level, talking about the fatigue that comes from screen time and working, that's been one of my antidotes to having more screens around me and doing more the last few months is I have to go sit outside sometimes. Sometimes when I feel exhausted, I go sit on my patio for 20 or 30 minutes and I'm ready.
Watch those monarch butterflies.
I know. I stared at that migration for a solid week, I think.
And as long as you don't have a 5G antenna on the house next to you or the building next to you, it's going to re-regulate your red light because the sunlight through your visual system does that.
Well, and I've heard the sunrise is the best, right? And I'm a big sunrise person. You know that about me.
Yeah.
How do you know if you have a 5G antenna?
Well, soon. I mean, what's more concerning to me right now are the antennas are going to go up due to the satellites in the sky. They're not being regulated or with
That's
the
what
licensing.
I heard, that there's no regulation.
And they're getting lower and lower.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have our challenges like every time in history.
Totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have our challenges. But I think what we've all learned is that we're not in control. But what our choices, but what can we choose to do that is healthy, holistic in that moment that will impact the whole, because we are living in a quantum time. So, and we always have been, but we're just more aware of it because we understand science much better. But it's just based on our choices because we are not in control. But you are in control of your choice in the moment.
You know how hard it is to hear that I'm not in control.
Right, right.
The Capricorn in me is like, oh, nobody, I got this. Everybody who listens knows better.
No, we know, it's also trusting people who do have it and knowing where they have it. That's a choice. Yeah. And I choose to trust you in that respect. Well, I wouldn't be sitting here now. Right? We trust each other in that respect. And that's, those are the kind of the little miracles.
Yeah.
Those are the miracles when you can completely surrender and appreciate and love someone for exactly what they have to offer in that moment with a completely neutral platform. That's love. That's the opportunity for love.
And that's going back to what you said in the book about the key of life. That's love. That's the soul. That's everything I think we talk about in here. Finding the gratitude list, all these little tools. It's all really love's the answer.
Yeah.
Well, and then, just get still and listen. Listen to your heart and your gut and those places in your body, which until we get the mood ring is the way we gauge how we're doing in all of those areas. I think we can figure it out if we listen.
I think that's a really good point because, the market is crazy. People are all concerned. We've just come off an election. We are divided as a country. I think we're divided globally. I think there are people who are on different sides of our country for different reasons. I think the markets are crazy. I think people are very concerned about, the new president and vice president-elect as far as the changes and what that's going to mean. And with all that being said, the only thing you can do, and the media and the impact of what to believe and the bombardment, and people ask me that all the time, and it's just go inside. Believe yourself. Believe your guidance. If you can flesh out belief systems and archetypical thinking and allow yourself to be present. Listen to your inner barometer. Again, I say, listen to your inner voice, listen to your gut, listen to your heart. And one thing I learned at Heart Math a long time ago, all you have to do is sit for 2 minutes and think of like the best memory of your life, something that brings you a great memory. I won't use an adjective.
I love that tip.
And you put your hand on your heart. I do. You don't have to as far as Heart Math, but I felt it's more
put your hand on your heart. Yeah,
it's effective. Too.
And if you sit for 2 minutes in this thought stream, you actually shift, again, the rhythm of your heart, which then shifts your autonomic nervous system. So, we talk about the polyvagal system. We have then balanced that out. And I think that's where you listen. And if everything outside of you is pulling you into a fear, unknown arena or platform, you just sit down, put your hand on your heart, think of something that has deep meaning to you, personalized, and just let that 2 minutes go by. And then from there, maybe make your decisions.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So
I think that is awesome. And I think that is what brought you here. That statement right here just kind of, I didn't know what I was asking you to say, but that's what, after you saying that, I don't have the words for it, but it's like, that's what people need to hear, is what you just said.
And to me, that's where we do have the power.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why we're holy.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're holy, and that's where the key is. You don't have to look.
Yeah, totally.
That's where it is.
Beautiful.
So I think with so much uncertainty right now, and not knowing who to believe or what to believe,
but just go.
And subconsciously, you're getting a lot of messages. So I always believe in going to super consciousness, and one place where super consciousness, I trust in my humanness, is in my heart. And we cannot live without our hearts. We can live without everything else, pretty much. And the ancient practices of medicine are always going to the heart. It's called the house of Shen. It's where our soul lives in our body, the house of your spirit. So I feel like that's where, what we all can rely on trusting, because we're getting a lot of messaging beneath our consciousness, which is making us uneasy, and we can't sleep, and there's a lot of things going on that we just don't understand yet. Mm-hmm. So
awesome.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Well, you need to ask her.
Yes. I know. I should have given you a little heads up
warning, but I don't think you'll have trouble with it. But we're all about balance, mind, body, spirit balance, and we also like to talk about bringing balance to each day. Mm-hmm. And so we like to ask, what do you do to bring balance to each day?
I do a lot of things. I think for my body, I really try to do a lot of research and feed the latest science that we kind of know about living longer and living to the best of our ability. So to be the histological age, I can't, the chronological age I can, but the histological age, that's like one of the first things I do every day. And loving my animals and using movement as my medicine, and being outside and connecting with nature, and just feeling all the different energies of nature before I even work with humans. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of prayer. My feet don't hit the ground before I've done my prayers, not only for the people I love and the people that are connected to the people I love, for the world, the universe. I say that same prayer every night. And I feel like that's really powerful.
I love that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Holly, for coming on here. And I'm quite certain this will not be your last visit. Hopefully. Hopefully not.
Thank you.
So thanks for listening. We're going to put a lot of stuff on our show notes that we mentioned today. We'll also put the information on Holly's book and how they can get it. Yeah? We can do that. And what else did we say would be in our show notes today? We could have some more.
Well, we'll link Heart Math, which we've done many times.
I just think it's phenomenal.
Heart Math.
I just love Heart Math.
Yeah, and so reach out to us too if you have questions for Holly or either of us. And if you want to ask more questions or see more about it, then go ahead and reach out in the comments.
Also, because of what I do, my background, I do private intuitive medicine sessions, or I can do my brain osteopathic technique, or whatever I do,
and that's the stuff that I referred to in the beginning that I've gone to Holly for, and I knew that I couldn't really explain it all, but that's it. She, I see her on a private basis, and that's what you do here in Austin, Texas.
I can give you those links to the different types of body work I do. Yeah,
and how people can reach you as well.
Yeah, and if not me, they can reach out to another practitioner.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Well, thank you again so much.
Thank you.
And thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to EnVibe Live Conversations. For more information and to join our community, be sure to check out our website at envibelife.com. We look forward to sharing with you.